In New York in 1940, Albert Einstein said the following: science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind. That's what he said, and that's a wonderful quotation, because immediately from that follows the following conclusion, that if you want to avoid lameness and blindness, you should bring science and religion together. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. So, good luck, and hopefully we shall do exactly as Einstein had hoped, and I wish you all a very, very successful and fascinating 3 days. Thank you very much.
Precisely 60 years ago, in 1950, Martin Buber, who would become 10 years later the first president of the Israel Academy of Sciences and Humanities, published his Zwei Glaubensweisen, in which he compared the concept of faith as it appeared in the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament. About the former corpus, he used to say that it was neither Old nor Testament. It may be a sign of the progress in the comparative study of religion, at least in this country, that we now propose to compare 3 types of religious attitudes. Although I don't know what to make of the replacement in the program of our conference of pistis by fides, side by side with emunah and iman. The important thing, of course, is the clear desire on the part of the Academy to show that distinct yet related religious traditions might profitably be studied together rather than separately, as remained usually the case both here and abroad. The main justification for studying together Judaism, Christianity and Islam, the religions now fashionably called Abrahamic and previously known as monotheistic, or the religions of the book. In contradistinction with interfaith enterprises, the comparative study of religions seeks to unravel differences at least.
We use a category which is never pure and unbiased, but always deeply connected with the great academic thoughts and ideas in the context of which it was and still is used. I only mention the names of Adolf Harnack and Josef Ratzinger in order to frame the problem, which we will delve into in some moments. Of course, I'm very much aware of the fact that there are no pure and unbiased academic categories and notions to describe religious movements and transformations. Hoping for such a terminology would be naive, or at least entirely ahistoric indeed. Yet, we should also take into account from a more pragmatic perspective that there are categories for religious research which are more and others which are less useful and applicable. It is also quite clear that a category always carries with it an entire and or encompassing academic concept, in German, ein Großkonzept, or sometimes even more than one concept. This requires all of us who use such a category to offer an enduring clarification of the category. And this is my attempt this morning.
The Sasanian period from the 3rd to the early 7th century of our era, especially in its later phase, was one that largely shaped the character of both Judaism and Zoroastrianism. It was a period in which other religious movements were formed or came into prominence. Manichaeism and the mundane religion, among others. Both Judaism and Zoroastrianism were based on a canon of scriptures that was held in great veneration, and both developed their teachings in the form of exegesis on the scriptures. By the 4th century of the current era, the exegesis became an independent literary corpus that, while holding the scriptures as an unshakable foundation, went a long way beyond them to establish a full way of life and a complex body of faith. We have direct evidence for the Jewish literary production of the period through several channels, chief among them the Talmud with its 2 versions, but also a large number of ancillary literature. For the Zoroastrian literary production, we have to do with a much smaller and more fragmentary body of material, where the chronology is for the most part rather hazy.
First of all, let me express my very deep sense of gratitude to the Israeli Academy of Sciences and Humanities and to Professor Friedman in particular for giving me this opportunity of not only participating in this very interesting conference but also visiting your country. This session deals with a set of papers that have been, as a student of Indian Islam, very close to my heart, and I'm sure it would generate a great deal of interest after this morning's extremely learned presentations.
Really very nice opportunity for me to present some of the things I'm working on. Now let me just say that I was, when I looked at the program, I was a little bit puzzled by the organizing principle of this afternoon, and I was thinking to myself, I was separated from my Islamic scholars, friends, colleagues, you know, and I have been put in a very distinguished session, but that doesn't deal specifically with Islam. And then I think I got a little bit of an answer this morning, because I thought to myself, historically at least, we started with early Christianity, and then we went on into late antique Zoroastrianism, Christianity, Judaism, Manichaeism, Mandaism, etc., etc. And now it's the turn of early Islam. So that's the logic that I have been working out in my mind. And also, I must say that in many respects, Professor, goodness, I'm a little embarrassed, Professor Marchis prepared the way for me by tackling terminology, which I'm going to try and do as well. It's not the same terminology, but the topic of re-evaluating terms and processes is exactly what I will try to do in my presentation here too. Also, Professor Marchis, you mentioned one of the protagonists of my talk, which is J.Z. Smith. So I feel that